Hey guys, and welcome to the OPN Dev Chat. We are here with Jason Godbey, the creator and the artist for The Search. We are so glad you are here with us, Jason, and thank you for taking the time to have this interview with us.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm also joined by Lacey Finley. She has her own Twitch channel, and she is one of our interviewees also for Jason tonight. Hey, Lacey, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you, Ariana? Jason?
Really good. Yeah. So let me give you a little background on Jason. He is a self-taught artist with 7 years of experience, maybe more at this rate, in the game industry. He has worked primarily as an environmental and lighting artist on AAA games titles for the Xbox 360, the PS3, the PSP, and several iOS projects. He's also experienced in creating architectural 3D visualizations. I can't even speak tonight, guys. I'm telling you, his artwork is just, words can't describe it. It's beautiful. In this area, his knowledge includes working with blueprints, CAD files. He renders the final images that will be used in the games and advertising in all kinds of medium. He is always looking for ways to further his skills as an artist by studying art and learning the latest technique and tools in the industry. So, Jason, tell us a little bit about the game and about yourself.
So, yeah, well, the game is kind of an idea I've been kicking around with for a few years, and a lot of the art in the game was art I'd made like several years ago, maybe like 5 years or more, and so a lot of that was just kind of, there's a lot of stories behind, the art that I make, all the pieces that I make, but they were just still images. So I wanted to find a way to get this into some kind of a tangible format, or a more tangible format to, where you could actually explore. And so this is kind of the result of that desire. And I mean, there's a lot of philosophy and psychology in there as well. And that is part of my interest. It goes back to when I was in college. I started doing art just as a hobby, but I was also taking philosophy classes, psychology classes too, and so I kind of, that was a really pivotal time for me to just kind of grab onto something that really, really spoke to me. And so, and then once I graduated college, I got a job in the game industry, and stuck around there for a few years, about 8 years, and then now I'm kind of just doing more visualization work, but I have more free time now, so in that free time I was able to create The Search.
That's wonderful. So what got you into video game design? Did you enjoy games growing up? Is it just something that it's kind of, is it a natural progression for you? Yeah,
I played video games pretty much like since I was 8 years old, but the idea of making games never really came into play until I discovered 3D art, and games like Myst and Riven and other adventure games, first-person adventure games, where you as a player just felt so immersed in the world. That really spoke to me and was a big inspiration for The Search and for the kind of stuff that I wanted to make. But that didn't really come into play. Like when I first got into the industry, I worked on games like NBA 2K series, like there's this Splatterhouse remake, God of War series, and worked at Sony for a while.
Nice.
Various different things, but so I could never really work on that kind of thing that I really wanted to, and so I had to kind of take it upon myself. So, well, if I'm going to, make the kind of games, I'm passionate about, I just have to do it by myself, and that's kind of where it ended up.
So you were kind of a solo act on this whole thing then?
Pretty much. I ended up, hired Sissy Jones to do the voice acting, and I licensed some music, but other than that, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much me.
Wow.
Very
That's
cool.
really impressive. Lacey, did you have any questions there for Jason?
Well, it was kind of interesting that you said like Myst and all that, because honestly, when I was playing it, I was thinking about those like 90s point and click adventures where you were really immersed. And I used to play a lot of those. And so I thought it, like when you said that, that was like the first thing that I thought of as I was playing the game. And then you were mentioning being kind of a solo act. So is this game just kind of like drawing from your own experiences then as becoming an artist, or like creating these images? And because like we were kind of chatting beforehand that I kind of related to it being myself a starving artist in my own form. I do like film and theater work and stuff, and the creating what you love and that kind of finding yourself moments with the game. Was that just kind of inspired from you trying to get to what you're doing now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely in part autobiographical. So there's definitely a lot of me in the story. But I've noticed too that, well, I mean, it's kind of a commentary in a way on, I guess, what I feel, is important to me, but, maybe could be helpful for other people as well, because it talks about, there's the importance of creativity and the importance of, I guess, following your inner voice. And so, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of games or a lot of content out there kind of instructs the user or player to kind of pay attention to what's out there, rather than, the search is the kind of game that asks the player to consider the world within as a world worth exploring. And you can kind of consider it as like sunken treasure at the bottom of the ocean, there's treasure down there, and it's, at times it's easy just to kind of stay on the surface, but, if you
Be brave enough to go for it, kind of thing. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the search features some beautiful areas. It has natural landscapes which create these very intimate areas, but they also give the player a sense of a larger world that exists beyond these little vignettes that you want to see. As the artist and the game designer, how do you use the lighting and the environment and the objects in that scene to create this familiarity with the setting for the player in the game?
Well, I guess my approach with the lighting, I mean, a lot of it's intuitive, but there's always some kind of story or, I guess, direction, or I guess message, even within set. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, so for like, the objects, using art, the paintbrush, the paint jar and that kind of stuff. I mean, all that's symbolic of, the message in the game about creating your own reality. But at the same time, some of this stuff was just kind of like, oh, it'd be cool to do like a foggy little cliffside with, kind of ocean in the background. But some of it's just, ideas that I had. And so
what I'm referring to in back a while back, you did some sci-fi pieces, and you talked about how in the quarters of these sci-fi ships or areas, you will use the lighting to help focus the person into where they are. You use the lighting contrast and the differences to make them feel the environment is much larger than where they're at, but they will be able to focus solely on what they're looking at in the game. And I really see that, because when we're in a courtyard in here or in one of the little rooms, you feel that quaintness. You really got across to the player that you are feeling isolated, and yet there is a larger world around you. So, and with the paintbrush and I don't want to give away too many spoilers to the folks who want to still play the game, but your primary objects being your paintbrush and all that, you give the player something to use to interact with their environment this way. It's really lovely.
I agree.
So,
thanks.
But okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to elaborate on what you were saying earlier.
Yes, definitely.
I always love creating this feeling of like there's more to the world than, you actually see around. So like there's, doors that you really can't access. So like doors with broken, with missing doorknobs and stuff like that. And so that's always been kind of a thing I like to put in my art, just given the sense that, there's more than meets the eye. And it creates mystery, it creates tension. And, I feel like that's, it's something I love when I, see other pieces of art or, play other games. It's like, there's always, whenever you're playing a game, it's like, oh, what's behind that door, and it just so happens like in this game, some doors you can't open. But yeah, it definitely, creates this sense of mystery. Yeah.
It does. Lacey, you have anything to follow up on that?
No, I have to agree with that, with like the lighting and everything. Especially when in the very beginning, when you're going from podium to podium, like that's where it really hit for me, where it's like you felt extremely isolated in this area, and then you're listening to what your soul, your heart, your whatever, trying to lead you through it all. And I thought I don't really have a question about that. I just thought it was very well done, and I don't usually enjoy these types of games. I'll put that out there. Usually, like, I need a little bit more to interact with, or some action or something going on. But like with the way it was so well drawn and the story so well put forth, I kept clicking along. I really wanted to see where it was going. And like I said, you spoke to me, man. You spoke to me. Get out there, create your art, do it, be brave, find yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, you definitely put that social psychology and the philosophy to work in this as well.
I actually
not
had
just
to
with
look
the
up
art.
more of that, to be honest, because like I noticed like Carl Jung kept coming up a lot, and like I'll admit I have no idea about any of that kind of stuff. So like it made me interested to figure out a little bit more about this dude, even like where you were drawing a lot of that from as well. So kudos, it made me want to kind of learn stuff. Like
that was definitely the hope. So Jung is kind of a contemporary of Freud, but Freud was more saw the unconscious, or that inner world is kind of where all this frustration and negative stuff is. But Jung saw it as like the sunken treasure. There's this things within that can really guide you and give you direction. If you're willing to look.
That's really amazing. Well, let me ask you this. We're going to jump back to the game here a minute. The point-and-click adventure genre tends to put a premium on that visual and narrative experience like you're talking about. How much influence did your specialty in 3D design have on your decision to make a point-and-click game?
Could you repeat the question?
Okay, sure. So we're talking about the visual and narrative experience. And there are different types of games that you could make. Obviously, this would not be like a first-person shooter or something like that. So we're wanting to know, how much influence did your specialty in the 3D design, in the artistic process, have on your decision to make this a point-and-click game, sort of like a walking simulator idea?
Okay, yeah, as opposed to maybe like a third-person isometric. Yeah. Well, I guess I've always, it just goes back to my inspiration, like with playing Myst and Riven, those kind of games, just wanted to kind of take a crack at it on my own. And yeah, I don't know, and there's like every morning I sketch out ideas, and it's just kind of wanting to be in these worlds that I kind of sketch out. So it's, partly just wanting to explore these ideas, that I have. And so I felt like the best way to do it would be with, a first-person perspective. And it was kind of a pain to do it as point and click rather than just kind of like this fully immersive, free roaming kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because,
really?
the process. It changes up later on, but don't want to spoil anything. But that process was really grueling because I would render it out. There's like over 800 still images, so 800 those little 800 frames, and if I had to change something in the game, I'd have to render all that out again, and some of those took maybe like an hour or 2 hours to render for one image, because I'm not like Pixar or anything. I don't have like a huge render farm that can handle all render everything in like 5 seconds. So right. That part was really really, really tedious, but I felt like, well, this, if I'm going to do it, one shot to do it, I don't want to like cut any corners, because I've done that before. There's always this temptation to kind of cut corners and just say, screw it, I'm just gonna make it more like this, an easy way. But it never really turns out, something I can be proud of, when I do that. So, sometimes, the best route is, the long and hard road.
So would you say that the point and click genre provides for the solo developer? Does it have, what advantages or disadvantages were you at doing it yourself and not having that big programming experience behind you, or having another team with you?
Yeah, that was a bit of a challenge, but there's, the great thing is there's so many helpful people online on the internet, and I used this really cool plugin called Adventure Creator, which had the framework of being able to make a game. You didn't have to know the programming language, but you had to kind of know the logic behind it, and so that was a big help getting me over needing to rely on a full-time programmer, which can be really expensive to have someone on the team, programming all the time. And plus, they're more likely to kind of jump onto other projects if they don't, dig what's going on. It's like, there's always that temptation for them to leave.
True. As yourself, it's just you and nobody else. So you want to get it done. How long did you work on the search from start to finish? What was your timeline?
Oh, geez. It was about 2 years. I started in 2015. Wow. Finished, April 2017. I'm still kind of shipping. I'm localizing the game into other languages, so I'm still tinkering with it.
I think I saw on Steam you were asking for volunteers for the different languages. You had someone step up for Russian, I believe, and you're still looking for French and Spanish?
Yeah, so correct? This is just kind of a little experiment, because I did have one volunteer for that would translate the game into Russian, and so gave me the idea, well, I can just see if anybody else would be interested in translating it. I had a request for Spanish, a couple of requests for French, so we'll see how it goes.
I'm going to say Spanish would probably be a big one for sure to get that translated over into. But I just kind of wanted to ask, like going back to before, so do you think you thought it was harder then to do the point and click as opposed to the free roam? Like I don't know much about the game developing side of it, but because I would have thought, I guess it would have been simpler to create with a point and click than the free roaming. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It was so much more time consuming just because of how, it's much easier to make revisions, make changes on if you do a free roaming game rather than so when I render the still images, those are set. You can't like move a barrel, like to the left or right. You got to go and move the barrel, then you got to render it out, and then you got to put that image back in the game. Yeah. So it's it's a little bit more complicated. But
I didn't think of it like that, but that was just interesting to learn. Like.
Yeah, it's all that technical kind of stuff. But I thought it would be simpler, but I didn't expect so many revisions and kind of going back and forth. And so, talking about the timeline, I thought it would take maybe 6 to 8 months to do this, but it ended up being 2 years. But that's kind of the creative process. Like, if there's a story about. There's a book out about by the president of Pixar. He talks about the creative process at Pixar, and they pretty much in every film except for Toy Story 3 have had to throw away large chunks of the movie and start over just because it's not working, and they don't want to cut corners. So I kind of took that philosophy with the search. Just it's about making it something I can be proud of.
Absolutely.
Well, it should be.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, that leads me right to what I was going to ask you. What methods did you use for keeping yourself on task and keep your schedule going, since it took you a little bit longer than you thought? What kind of time management process did you have while you were working on it?
Well, I just kind of keep a regular routine. Like, I get up like 6 a.m. and then work for a couple hours, and then I do have another job, so I have to tend to that job, and then maybe I have like an hour in the evening too, if I'm lucky. But it's just kind of chipping away at it, and I would listen to audiobooks, like the one Creativity Inc. I think that's the name of the book. To keep me inspired and that kind of thing. I would also have, I'm married, so my wife, would also be a source of encouragement and just really helping me, like, give me feedback on the game and that kind of stuff. So,
So is that then what resources did you find most helpful when you needed outside help? Because that was something you just said, like your wife looking at that. Did you have other friends or game developer friends or anything that you could be like, hey, please check this out, see how I'm doing, what's going on with this kind of deal?
Yeah, I have some friends in the industry. I had to take a look at it. They gave me some good feedback, and also had some other friends who are not in the industry just look at it. It's just people that aren't usually big gamers. It's good to have that perspective too.
Sure.
So it's like my wife's parents played it, and it was just like, we had to just I just had to try not to, because when you play test a game, you don't want to call out, oh, go here, go there. You want to see what you're thinking. So that was a stressful or very patient session.
So would you sit there while they were playing it? I don't know if I could do that. Like when I can't watch my own film stuff. If other people want to watch, I'm like, now I'm gonna go in the other room. So you could sit there while they're doing it. I'd be so nervous.
Yeah. One of the things that you have to get good at. It is kind of like it's like wondering like what they're thinking, but that's how you get better or make the game better. So the feedback is really important. So I try to take it all in, but at the same time, like if something just their suggestion would kind of change the game to where maybe shift the story in a direction, or shift the gameplay in a way where it would kind of go against the meaning, and then I'd have to kind of override and say, well, that's a good point, but it kind of doesn't really fit in with what I'm trying to do. So that's always kind of tricky too, trying to figure out what to take and what to kind of just let slide.
Oh, well, that is a good thing. Yeah, go ahead, Lacia.
Was there feedback then at all that you got where you were like, wow, I do have to change this thing? Like it just unfortunately wasn't coming across the way that you wanted it to?
Oh, geez, yeah. So like the story at first, the story changed a couple times. And at first it was like this really abstract kind of thing where you're just picking up these notes, and it was just, you're just reading these cryptic notes, and it was very vague, like what it meant. But then I added the idea, the feedback, after you read the note, then there's the voiceover that kind of goes, this sort of the thinking behind the note, like, maybe this is what the note's talking about. And so there's a little bit. I think the story was like the thing I had the most feedback about. So that was tough to get right.
That's a big part of it. So what is your opinion on the role of video games as a narrative medium versus like the audio visual experience, because you not only have the good narrative, you've got beautiful music to go along with this. So how does that help tell your story with the not just the visual but the audio behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important, and I learned that, through the feedback, because I was trying to make it as, as little, dialogue, put as little dialogue as possible in there to just kind of, make it more about symbolism, metaphor, but people just weren't getting it. So, I had to, say, well, that was a nice idea, but obviously it's not working. So, I'm going to have to add a little bit more, go a little bit different direction here with the story. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's always a tricky thing. It's like, knowing whether or not what you're trying to say is getting across. And then, the only way you can really do that is just to, talk to as many people as you can.
So you did the music for it as well? Or you went out, did you source soundtracks for it?
So I licensed one piece of music. That's the main piano track that's played like in the middle of the game. Since that one, and then a couple others were I found through these royalty-free services, and I did, the intro title screen. Kind of inspired by this Pink Floyd instrumental, but yeah, so it's kind of a little of this, a little of that in terms of the music.
Well, it all came together so well, so beautifully. Like the game in itself is an artistic piece. So I want to read a quote though from your blog that you wrote a while back, and get your view today on your words from back then, since we talked about Jung and the existentialism of your game and everything. So you said, often when faced with the fear of failure, there's a tendency to play it safe because of the pain that might be associated with it. But instead, we shouldn't see failure as something to fear, but rather something that is essential and as a friend that shows the way to success. It has been a while, so maybe you think back to when you said that. I'm curious, how has this friend today treated you, and what advice as a published artist and game developer would you give to others out there?
Well, I always think that, the thing that you're most afraid of doing is the thing that, you should do. And so it's not always easy, but it's just something that I don't know. I mean, especially if it's going to, take you in a direction that you feel that, you're supposed to go, or, you feel that you're guided in that direction. But yeah, I mean, I guess, in terms of like risks or like, the fear, I don't think you'd ever really get rid of the feeling. It's just more about learning to be okay with it, or dance with it, if you will, and see that as part of, how it is to be human, and acknowledge that, and then just get about to doing what you need to do. But yeah, so the other part, I guess, was it suggestions for other devs? Was that the other part of the question?
Yes.
Okay.
As your experience, what would you give out there to someone new who's working on their game currently and fighting with the struggle that you had with the time, with the job, with the family, with getting a new game out there?
Being that starving artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, for me, since I had little time, one of the things I always said to myself is just focus on what's essential, figure out what's essential, and then focus only on that. And that's why the game is kind of short, about an hour long. But I had, because of the limited resources and limited time, I had to focus on making the smallest possible game that I could. And with that, I had to just focus on only what's important. and there's always this temptation to get ideas and get inspired, and then that very same day start working on this new idea for the game. But maybe instead of doing that, just sit with it for a day or so before jumping right into working on that idea. I've done that, and just sitting with the idea instead of jumping right in to work on it. I see that maybe, this is going to mean I have to change something else with the game, this other part of the game. And so, a lot of it's just, I guess, being patient with that process too, because I think, there really are no shortcuts if you want something that's sustainable.
That's true. Well, now that you've got this one under your belt, it's just been released, I know. And your game has no bugs. Nothing, no complaints. The little secret ticket booth is a little bit of a mystery, for sure.
Yeah.
But now that you've gotten this, what's next?
Well, like I said, I would still like to translate the game into other languages. Beyond that, I do have some ideas kicking around in my head of other games maybe like to start on. But we'll see. I was thinking that maybe doing some other kind of commentary with the game, like a developed commentary, but we'll see how that goes. But always creating, always, like I said, a head full of ideas. It's always so
hard to focus on just one idea because there's just so many great ones rolling around up there.
Yeah. That's kind of how it is. But usually just kind of go where with whatever idea feels the strongest. But I always like.
Go ahead.
I guess I always want to make something that's kind of, I don't know, would like to surprise the player, or give the sense of, and there's more to it than what you see. But so that's it.
Would you stick with that same point and click genre, or do you want to branch out into something a little bit different for the next endeavor, or is that still up here in the thinking tank?
Yeah, it's still kind of in process, but I'd like to try something a little different, maybe more free roaming, because getting around that whole point and click workflow, that's so time consuming. Yeah. So maybe something a little bit different, but we'll see.
Will you stick with more of the realism, landscape, like that kind of idea, going with the philosophy and existential thinking?
Maybe. I might try to branch out a little bit and do something different. Maybe a little bit more, something with a little bit more puzzles, or because the puzzles in the Searcher kind of minimal. So maybe something that focuses a little bit more on puzzles.
Lacey, do you have something?
Well, I was just going to say, are you a writer too? Do you, is that maybe another side hobby of yours, that you write short stories or things like that, which is kind of what drums up the ideas for the next thing?
No, actually, I don't feel that writing is my strong suit. It's just more of the art and trying to tell the story with the art. But that's kind of how I always viewed art, as something that can tell a story. It's not just something that's a pretty picture. Well, to me, right. Like what I try to do anyway. There's always some kind of story behind it. That's what I try to do.
Well, walking simulators have become very popular lately, as you mentioned with Firewatch, and using the voice actors to help tell the story along with the narrative. not and the visual effects. So those are a really good place to stay and continue to explore, and definitely puzzles. People love puzzles, so you combine all of those, you definitely have a key to success right there. So it's very exciting, and we look forward to seeing what else you have that you want to come out and work on. So do you feel this game is successful for you so far since your release in April?
Well, yeah, I think it's definitely had more of an impact than I expected. I don't know, it's one of those things where, like, I guess when the run up to the release, there wasn't a whole lot of, press attention and that kind of stuff, or attention at all. And so, yeah, I've gotten a lot more, people commenting or, doing reviews than expected. So, I feel like, yeah, I mean, it's, done pretty good for, my expectations.
What's been the biggest learning experience that you've had with PR? Since you said that was all new for you, and the branding and the PR, so what's been the biggest shocker for you having to do that?
Well, again, it's just, I guess, this time constraint that, comes with, answering emails. Like, you get, a ton of emails, and but then also, like, I hired a PR guy part-time, and he's like, well, you should tweet every day, about the game. It's like,
at Wednesday at 5 p.m.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know if I can think of enough stuff to tweet every day. It's just like, yeah, because some days I'm not on it full time, so some days are busier or less busy than others. So some days, well, what can I tweet about today on the game? Yesterday I'm moved a barrel over to the other level, So,
yes, yeah. And you got to make those connections. That's what it's all about, getting yourself out there, getting your community with you. So you want to make those good relationships with your players and everything. They really enjoy the game, it seems. You've gotten some good reviews and good feedback. Lacey, you tell us a little bit about your experience with the game.
Well, I mean, I think I've kind of gone over that with just like how I thought the story actually kind of spoke to me. And that I started to feel a little bit bad in the beginning because I wasn't quite understanding necessarily the very first painting you have to create, if you will. And finally, I'm clicking on that hint button and it says, put it on a frame. And I'm like, what frame? So I'm like walking around doing this thing, and I'm like virtually banging on the frame or on the bars that were right next to there. And finally I just started dragging stuff over, and it went up, and I went, oh, that's what I'm looking for. And then I felt like a moron because I was standing in front of it the entire time, not realizing I should have just dragged the canvas over. So after that, it was smooth sailing once I started to figure out what I was supposed to do there. But I did really enjoy it. Like I said, I was surprised that I enjoyed it because I'm not usually a straight point and click kind of thing, but I think with the casting of the voice actress, which really could help immerse, and with the backing up of the story every time you found a new clue, or to remember to click on the different things that you find, because there is more story there, which at first I almost missed that as well. I just went to go, make my paint and didn't realize that there's more story there. You've really got to make sure to click on this. So I missed 2 achievements because of that.
Oh, you get them. It's a great, I think if you do miss, I've played it 3 times. I mean, because you want to see everything. You want to go back and make sure you've not missed anything in the story, because it's really that good. And you're like, did I hit every doorway? Did I see every photo in there? And I don't want to give away too much for the people who want to still play the game. You definitely should go play this game. It is beautiful. It is a perfect time. Get you a cup of coffee, sit down with this game, and thoroughly enjoy the moment of being there. But it was just beautiful, and I enjoyed every bit of it. Now, and I would love to just ask you some questions about that ending. Again, I don't want to give away spoilers, but I will say there are 2 possible routes to go. And one of them just intrigued me so much, but it threw me back out when I went to it. And I'm just going to say it's the wasteland. I was ready to for the game to end, and yet you put us back in there like, no, this isn't the end. You're not done yet. You still can go further. The wasteland is not necessarily the end. So that was really intriguing to experience that.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you have that choice at the end, but even if you make the choice of going into the wasteland, it's not game over, and that's similar, mirrors life, that even if you make bad choices, you can recover.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Lacia, thank you. It was a pleasure. Lori, Sweet Ruin in our chat, she's been giving away games all night long. We want to thank all of our viewers who have come and encourage you guys. If you haven't picked up this game, it is available on Steam right now for $3.99. So it is definitely a great playthrough. Like I said, pick up a cup of coffee, enjoy it.
Just Jason, to relax and chill with it. Just relax and chill.
That's it. We can't wait to see what you have coming up next. And as a small developer working on this on your own, it's really amazing. Your art is just beautiful. We want to see more coming out from you. Now, you're independent, so you don't have a studio name or anything like that, right?
Right. Yeah, just by myself for now.
So people, if they want to follow you and see your work, where's the best place for them to follow along to see what you got going on next?
Well, my website is probably a good place to start.
Which has a lot of fantastic other artwork on there, guys. There's it's great.
JasonGodbey.com, and that'll link to the search website, and but yeah, most of the stuff I'll just post on my main website,
or on Twitter, right?
That's right. Wednesdays at 5 p.m.
I've heard that's the most hop-in time. I don't know.
Wait, now, Lacia, is that Central Standard, Pacific, Mountain? We're all in different locations here.
I guess, well, sure. UK time, how's that? And they'll get everywhere.
Yes. Well, Jason, do you have any closing thoughts you want to share with us regarding your experience, the game, how it's been, what you're looking forward to in the future?
Well, I guess I just say thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. But yeah, I guess just the game's just an hour long, so it doesn't really take that long.
Oh, it took me longer than that initially, like you, Lacia. It was a little tricky to get started there. So give yourself,
it took me about 85 minutes, I think. But I also wanted to stop and really enjoy some of the scenery that you put into. So I didn't want to rush through it. So.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, that's definitely how it should be played. You shouldn't really be, if you're feeling rushed, don't play it. Wait for the time where you could just kind of chill. I kind of thought about a tagline for the game that would say best played on a lazy afternoon with a cup of coffee. Something.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's how it's meant to be played.
No, that is super. So I was going to say, I cannot wait. You said you wanted to do some developer commentary to go along with it. So is that going to be like a free DLC extra? You're going to have a soundtrack to go with it or something?
Yeah, I'll probably just do an update to the game itself and just post an announcement on Steam and and the website. But yeah, that'll be like a free update.
Wonderful. Cool. Well, we are looking forward to it, and I guess we're going to wrap it up. We're going to say thank you so much to everyone who joined us. Thank you, everyone in the chat. We have winners for the game. Congratulations, Hayes and Remy Luna 11. Congratulations.
Did we get them both out? Okay.
The game. Yes. Excellent. So, yeah, enjoy and give us feedback and let us know what you think. You can follow us at OPN at all locations, Twitter, opn.com, here on Twitch. Be sure to come back. We have more shows coming up and more giveaways. So thank you guys so much. Fred, if you want to take us out, we will see you guys next time.
Thank you all so much. Have a great night.
Thanks.